Today, we hear real stories about the housing crisis, skyrocketing rents, and survival in today's economy. Welcome to the real economy.
Y'all know how back in the day they used to have rent parties to help somebody who was short on the rent or whatever. They all chip in a couple of dollars. People would come over. Baby, this why we don't do that. We can't do that because everybody need help on their rent. Everybody need help on their rent. Shit, and that's how y'all know it should be a motherfucking problem.
I told myself I would never cry on the internet because I think that's so lame. But I just got our rent renewal thing for our apartment complex, and it's going up by $300 a month. $300 for a one-bedroom apartment that is not updated in any sort of way. And our complex doesn't even have like nice amenities. Like, we have a tiny pool and a tennis court. Like, this is not a luxury apartment complex. We already pay, with all the fees and everything included, $2,000 a month, and now we're going to be paying $2,300 a month for this tiny apartment. And that's just so frustrating. I don't understand how people can live in this world anymore, and I just don't want to move again because that's so much work and more money, and it's stressful trying to find another place, and it's just so annoying. And now I feel like I need to get a new job, and I just got this job and I like it, but it's not paying me nearly what I need. And so now I'm gonna have to go through applying to jobs again, which I did for like a whole year plus until I found this job. So I'm gonna have to go through all of that again. It's just not fair.
So our rent's going up by $300 a month. Like, we live in a normal ass looking apartment. Like, there's nothing fancy about it. Okay? When I moved here in August of 2018, we were paying $1,900 a month. And now they want us to pay $2,500, citing, building improvements and renovations and repairs and property taxes and water bills and all this other stuff. Oh, and inflation. Yeah, that's another one too. And it's crazy because like all the people that live in this building are all just like working class people. They're just working class people. Just people working, trying to do their thing, I called them. I called the property manager to talk to the office manager, to talk to everybody, right? And one of the things that they told me was, so you want us to lower your rent? Why? And it's incredible because it's like they don't see all the people that live in this building as people. They see them as numbers. They see them as numbers on a spreadsheet, which is lovely, I guess. I'm just tired, man. I'm just tired of not being valued, of all of us not being valued as human beings, as people with feelings and, a desire for hope and a desire for I just don't know. I'd like, something's got to change. Something's got to give, because like we're all stuck in this loop. Like, I'm valuable. I know I'm valuable. I have a lot to offer. I speak 3 goddamn fucking languages. I'm not an idiot. I mean, sometimes, yes. But like, for the most part, no. I'm a very educated person. Just because I don't have money, I have no value to you. Because I don't have a big fat bank account, I have no value to you. Something's got to change, man. Something's got to change. And, I hope, at least wherever you're at and wherever you're watching this from, and you're doing good. And you're doing well. And you're being taken care of.
Is rent eating up more than 50% of your paycheck? Share your experience below. Always know your tenant rights. Many cities have laws to protect renters against unfair increases.
I want to know who they're pricing these expensive ass apartments for. who are they pricing it for? Because there's no way that I can't find a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom for lower than $2,300 that's actually decent. No roaches, no rats. We should not be in a state where minimum wage workers have to live with 3 to 4 people in order to afford to live. Everyone at minimum should be able to afford to live alone. Period.
I'm realizing my husband and I can never break up because, baby, I don't have any idea how I would be able to afford rent now. I've been living on my own since 2017. Like, I've rented apartments since 2017. And that to me is really not that long ago to be able to say that rent's doubled in some of these apartments. Like, I remember paying maybe $700 in the majority of these apartments, and some of them have already gotten to almost $1,400. How are they justifying that? Like, how are they justifying that big of an increase? Like, they probably haven't been updated since I lived there too. First apartment I ever rented with my friends. We rented it for, I think the cheapest apartment that we could rent was like $790, something like that. And then we got a 2-bedroom, so it was closer to $1,000, but we had 4 roommates. We just divided it amongst all of us. And my rent was like $250. But I remembered that the cheapest one they had was like $790. What is this? What is this increase? That's insane. The cheap rent is almost doubled. And I need to emphasize, this was not in like some crazy rich city. This was in Chesapeake, Virginia, like a very average city. Then I moved because I found a cheaper apartment across town because my first apartment was actually kind of nice. And when we found the cheaper one, it was like maybe $700. This one is $1,035 for the absolute cheapest model. Was not in a crazy good area of town either. Now, this one is insane to me for a few reasons. I need to give context though, because it's going to sound like a good deal anyway. First of all, I lived in this one in 2018, and this ad hasn't been updated since like around 21, so this is only like a 3-year difference. It was also in a completely different city, and this was Petersburg, Virginia. If anyone knows anything about Petersburg, Virginia, it is not a great area to live in, and I lived in one of the more rough apartment complexes in that area. I loved it. Everyone there was really nice to me. I never realized it wasn't a good quality apartment complex until like bugs started happening because my own roommate was so psycho, I never noticed the crazies around me. My rent was like $350 and my other roommate was $350. So our apartment was $700. The absolute cheapest apartment that you can get there, because we didn't even live in the cheapest. We lived in a 2-bedroom. So to get a 1-bedroom is a $200 price increase, which is crazy to me because this is to live in the middle of Petersburg, Virginia, to live in a very rough part of town, to live in a 500 square foot 1-bedroom apartment. When like 4 years before this, you could get a 2-bedroom apartment for $750. If we broke up, I genuinely have no idea how I'd be able to afford rent because this would be one whole paycheck. And then my daughter's daycare would be my next. Like, that would be everything.
Now, I don't know if y'all remember this either, but do y'all remember when the FBI, the thing I'm about to show y'all, though, it said that they investigated it, but do y'all remember the FBI found out why rent and everything was so high? This was last year. Like, do y'all remember that? I'm about to post some tunes for y'all so y'all can see. But I remember they figured it out. And I told everybody, they're not going to do nothing about it. Here go one instance, like, just right. This is them basically saying they know what's going on. They know what's going on, bro. This shit is buck wild. I don't know what made me think about this, but I remember this whole thing came out. It was them doing it. Like, they changed the algorithms and they just hiked the joint up because they could, really. I remember. Yeah. We are not crazy. I know I'm not. I remember all of this going on. All of it. I remember. Still ain't do nothing. Remember that. They still ain't did nothing. There ain't no way that's still in no investigation. Y'all can find everything else, but y'all can't figure this out. No.
I just need to have a little rant about how hard it is to be an adult in this current economy. So I live in the south of England, I live in Essex, and we rent our property. Now, we moved into our property 3 years ago, and in them 3 years, the rental market has increased so much that we could not afford to live where we live if we wasn't already living here. And what I mean by that is if we moved out, our landlord could increase our rent by about £600 to £800 a month to meet with market. And at the moment, they're capping the landlords at 10%. So they can only increase our rent by 10%. We have got so many outstanding maintenance issues to the point where I'm starting to think, are they just leaving us like this because it's actually beneficial for them to piss us off so much that we leave, because then they're going to get like £800 a month extra rather than just paying for the repairs. And even if they paid for the repairs before they moved the new person in, within 2 months the repairs would have been paid for by that new person. But we can't afford to buy because we need 2 years of our own salary to put a deposit down. And obviously we're paying someone else's mortgage, so we can't save because there's no extra money. Our rent goes up every year. Our rent has gone up by the full 10%, which we're currently negotiating because they've not given us the proper notice and things like that. And I don't feel like you'll talk this stuff in school. So like, if I didn't know people that was in the industry that I could ask these questions to, I would just have to go along with it and just be like, yeah, okay. But the fact is, if I've got outstanding maintenance issues, which is severe, by the way, we had a gas leak yesterday because they ignored something and it could have been fixed back in February when I raised it. But now they're trying to charge me more because I've had to reply to my email because I have an emergency gas leak. How messed up is this? So then I'm like trying to find somewhere else potentially to live, but I can't because everywhere's so expensive compared to what we're paying. So I'm stuck. I'm literally stuck because I don't have a deposit for a house, even though my salary would cover a mortgage and more. We would be better off monthly having a mortgage, but because we can't get the deposit together, because we're paying someone else's mortgage, we have to continue paying extortionate rent prices. And I don't even live anywhere that's like fancy. Like, I live in a town which has not a lot going on, which is fine for me. That's not me complaining. I love where we live. I'd love to stay where we are, and we intend to stay where we are as long as things get sorted. But I'm feeling like, are they doing all this because they want us to get so annoyed and just move? But the reality is we can't move because this is all we can physically afford. Obviously, I'm on statutory maternity leave. Like, I can't just up and leave. We have a child, we have a dog, we have so many limitations, and they're just making it so difficult. And I just needed to get on my soapbox because I just don't understand how we're meant to adult and, you know, improve the economy and do all these things when you can't do right or wrong. Like, they want us to buy, but they make it so difficult to buy. So they want to keep us renting, but now they've made the rent so high that we can't move. And then if you are a landlord, you're penalised. It's just a hot mess express. And I just don't understand where we go from here. I have no point to this. I just needed to blurt it out on the internet so that someone else can come in the comments and be like, same. Because I doubt I'm the only person that's dealing with this. And our landlord doesn't even live in the country, so we deal with an estate agent. So I'm like, does the landlord even know what's happening to his property? Like, you know? Yeah. Good luck to anyone else renting in this economy.
Would you consider relocating to another city or state to lower your rent? Comment below. Negotiate your lease renewal early. Some landlords are open to small discounts to avoid vacancy losses.
All of you parents that's 40 and over, stop comparing our generation to this new generation. It ain't the same. In 2001, I got my very first apartment. It was a 2-bedroom. It had radiant heat. It had an old window unit in the living room, and all of the windows in the apartment crank. And what I mean by crank, you ever see an old car, and in order to get the windows down, you had to spin the spindle? Yeah. It was $650, and I loved it because in 2001, I felt like I was getting what I was paying for. It makes absolutely no sense to me that landlords and these management companies are leasing those same type of apartments with no upgrades, no changes, or nothing, requiring 3 to 4 times the rent, 200 plus application fees, and 2024 prices that typically starts at like $2,000. Now, I'm not saying we didn't struggle, because we did, but our struggle was nowhere near what the young adults going through now. This is insane.
Have landlords lost their minds? My roommate moved out a few months ago, so I currently live in a 2-bed, 2-bath by myself. And the price that I am paying for rent for a 2-bed, 2-bath with 2 parking spaces is the same amount of money I would be paying for a studio in Los Angeles, California. I feel like our whole perspective is warped because I hear people talking about, oh, I found a studio for $2,000, what a good deal. I just can't even process what is happening with rent costs in LA and also around the whole country. How is anybody affording rent? How?
If you want cheap rent without getting a roommate, there's only 2 options available. So for your first option, if you want a cheap apartment, is you have to move to far, far away land. You have to move to a small ass town where everybody goes to Walmart for fun. There's nothing to do and you'll be bored as hell, but your rent will be $35 a month. Your second option, if you want cheap rent, is your roommate is probably going to be rats and roaches. Your car's going to get broken into. You're probably going to get shot. But at least your city's a lot of fun and there's a lot of things to do in your city. And this is why I think renting is such a very unfair concept. I have a friend who's paying $2,500 a month for a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment in Miami, Florida. Then I have another friend who's paying $800 for a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment in a small town in South Carolina. Both apartments are pretty much the same size. The only difference is location. I think it should be illegal for rent to be over $2,000 a month. You could be paying $2,000 a month for your apartment and your next door neighbor, same model, same everything, could be paying $1,800 for the same model apartment as you. Or they could be paying more than you. When you renew your lease, it could go up by $9 or $900. And then you're paying $2,000 a month, but you will never own your apartment. You will never own it. I feel like rent should be like a fixed amount across the board. A 1-bedroom apartment anywhere in the United States should be like $800. A 2-bedroom apartment should be like $900. Life is unfair, but renting is 10 times unfairer.
The Australian dream is dead. The unit I rented as a broke fucking uni student for $550 a week, split between me and my best friend, for a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 2-car park building in the city, didn't have great amenities. Doesn't matter, I'm a uni student, and it was just a nice place to live with my best friend during uni. And I was a broke fucking uni student who worked casual, and I could afford that apartment. Now, that exact same apartment is $850 a week. And it's no longer furnished, so you're literally paying more for less. As a full-time worker who also works a second casual job on the weekends, I cannot afford the same apartment I had as a broke uni student 3-4 years ago.
I said it before and I'll say it again. Rent for a 1-bedroom apartment, I don't care where it is located, whether it's on the West Coast, on the East Coast, whether it's down south. A 1-bedroom apartment should not be over $1,200, okay? And that could be luxury, that could be however it could be. It should not be over $1,200, okay? I've been down south, I've been on the West Coast. What I'm saying, it should not be over $1,200, okay? And if $1,200 could be luxury, but a regular apartment should not be over $900 or $1,100. It should not be. You understand me? We're talking about apartments. It should not be over $1,200. 2-bedroom apartment should be around about, I want to say 14, 15. Okay? That's it. Y'all doing too much with these apartments. The amenities is not all that great. Everybody is not using the pool. Everybody is not using amenities. A lot of people got their own gym memberships. What I am saying, United States of America, a 1-bedroom apartment should not be over $1,200 a month. You got the American people in shackles. All right? American people used to live good on a one income. They're not living good anymore. You got 1-bedroom apartments. California, basic rate is anywhere between $2,600 and $2,800 a month. In the South, 1-bedroom apartments are now $1,600 and $1,800 a month, and their wages are still low. A 1-bedroom apartment should not be over $1,200 a month. 2 bedrooms, like I said, it shouldn't be no more than $1,400 and $1,500. Mortgage, if you guys have a mortgage that was $1,400 for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, let's no longer complain about a $1,400 mortgage, because right now I'm looking at mortgages at anywhere between $2,600 and $3,000 for that same 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Okay, let's not complain anymore about those $1,400 mortgages. Generation X or Z, I don't know what you guys gonna do when you guys graduate from out of high school and college. Okay? Because I remember a time where American people was living good. The morale in America is very low. It's dirt low. And I don't know what we're gonna do.
What's the highest rent you've ever paid? And was it worth it? Share your story.
These landlords have lost their everlasting mind. We have been living in this house for 2 years since relocating from South Florida. Faithful with our rent, paying on time. I don't ask for any maintenance because my husband was a maintenance supervisor and he's an HVAC technician. I'm hooked up. We get the renewal, and with all their bogus fees and all, they want to charge us $3,000. Mind you, just a few months prior, 4 houses down, the same house. It's twin. They rented it for under $1,900. Under $1,900. It was like $1,890. Well, I answered back and I told them that I could not afford that there was no way that I was going to be able to do that. They countered and said, well, what if we kept the rent the same? I countered back and said, how about you give me the same rent that you did with the other house, 4 houses down at like $1,890? Like, come on now. They had the nerve to answer back and say, we can lower it $50 with still having all of those inflated bogus fees tacked on. I'm still losing here. It is what it is. You know what? When one door closes, another one opens. And I know that my family and I, we are in God's hands, and that He will provide us a house that we can afford so that we're not drowning and a slave to just paying the house. God has everything in His hands. And these prices are dropping. And for the ones that are Delulu, I pray that you wake up and smell the coffee and start being real and stop being greedy.
Why the rent going up but still leaking? Matter of fact, why the rent going up at all and ain't nothing getting fixed? You still got stained carpet, still got a hole in the wall from when the last tenant was here. Ain't none of the appliances working. Y'all charging me $300 more and y'all ain't fixing nothing. Is something going on the outside of the property that I don't know about? Cause ain't nothing happening on the inside. Make it make sense. Make it make sense.
For all the idiots that keep commenting, just leave, bro. Just move out. You thought I haven't tried, bro? You thought I haven't never thought about that? You don't just leave or just move out. There's so many variables you gotta be in control of first. First off, in this shitty economy, there's already the rent that you gotta worry about. Everything's hella expensive for no reason. So if you're going for somewhere cheaper, you gotta make sure that's still a safe neighborhood. So I'm trying to find a delicate balance between a good price and somewhat of a safe neighborhood. And if you're moving out with someone else, like with a friend or your girlfriend, bro, I gotta coordinate with them too. On top of that, each individual probably still has ties with their family. Stuff like health insurance, car insurance that are probably shared with the parents still, or credit cards that are still under the parents as authorized users. I gotta make sure I got all those insurance and credit cards set up before I completely detach from my parents. You also need to have enough in your savings for maybe a high security deposit for the apartment. And most apartments nowadays, you need to be earning at least 1.5 to 2.5 the amount of rent per month. If I move into a new area too, I need to transfer my job as well. I can't just move to a new area, have no job. So yeah, clearly I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking about moving out for the longest time, of course. When I came back from college from Taiwan, I had no networking left in America and no contact with my old friends. And I couldn't find a job on top of that for forever. And I kept hanging on to the hope of I'll find a job. So I didn't find any part-time jobs in the middle until I started giving up after 1.5 years into the job search. That's when I found a tutor job. And that was also after I got rejected a bunch of tutor centers or retail stores somehow. So yeah, I've been planning to move out for like my entire life. I just kept getting caught in bad financial spots and being led on by false hope. So anyways, originally I was planning to move out by summer, but I gotta hurry the hell up now because my mom's just getting crazier and crazier. So I'm planning to move out in 1 or 2 months.
Alright, so I know we're in a housing crisis or whatever, but I just feel like if everybody start only paying half their rent, apartments would be $700 a month again, and I could get my own apartment and stop being a 20-year-old teenager and just be a real adult. Like, I didn't really ask to be here. I'm just a girl that want her own apartment for a reasonable price and a degree. I don't think that's too much to ask for. And like, no kid asked to be here, but I'm a twin and the second born, so I'm really just a happy accident. So I really didn't ask to be here, and I just feel like we could start going street by street, block by block. Let me know. Like, gather neighborhood watch so they can watch these rent prices, because I'm sick of this. These rent prices is roommate prices, and I don't got no freaking roommates.
Listen up, Chicagoans. I need y'all to talk to me. How much is your rent going up? 2 years ago, my apartment complex was gracious enough let me renew at the same rental rate because, you know, everyone was going through tough times with COVID. Last year, they raised it on me by maybe $30, give or take, a month. And then I just got hit with like an 80-something increase a month for next year. It's just not enough to be like, I need to move, because once you pay for movers and stuff like that, it's like, ugh. So I just need to know. I'm so sorry. This is horrible. The ironic thing is I used to roll burritos at Salsaritas back in the day. So you'd think I'd be good at like wrapping a wrap. How much are they jacking your rent up by? It kind of feels like 80-something a month is a little bit market rate, which is fucking egregious. The middle class is very large, right? It's a very large scale of people, but I would consider myself to be a pretty privileged middle class person. So if I, as a more privileged middle class person, am feeling the heat on almost $100 a month additional on top of my rent, how the fuck are poor people supposed to live? Seriously, how are poor people who make minimum fucking wage living paycheck to paycheck living? How are people who are supporting like multiple heads and have these fucking children running around? How the hell are they living? I'm a single dog mom, and I'm just like, what the hell are the American people at large supposed to be doing right now?
So what's the biggest scam in America? I'll go first. The fact that when you sign a new lease, your rent automatically goes up. Your rent goes up, but your money doesn't. So you're not even getting paid enough to actually pay these rent increases. That's like so crazy to me.
Thanks for watching The Real Economy. If you're struggling with housing, check the free resources linked below.